mental health.
You're with BBC World News. Let's take you straight away live to Delhi, where Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump are about to make a joint statement following trade talks. Let's listen in.
Of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of the Republic of India and the Food and Drug Administration of the Department of Health and Human Services of the United States of America. And finally, a letter of cooperation between Indian Oil Corporation Limited and ExxonMobil India LNG Limited and Chart Industries Incorporation. I now begin the proceedings for the press event. To begin, may I request the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, to deliver his statement to the press.
मेरे मित्र और अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रंप, अमेरिकी डेलीगेशन के सम्मानित सदस्यगण, लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, नमस्ते। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप और उनके डेलीगेशन का भारत में एक बार फिर हार्दिक स्वागत है। मुझे विशेष खुशी है कि इस यात्रा पर वो अपने परिवार के साथ आए हैं। पिछले 8 महीनों में राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप और मेरे बीच ये 5वीं मुलाकात है। 8 महीनों में कल मोटेरा में राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप का ये 5वीं मुलाकात है।
Meeting between President Trump and myself. Yesterday,
राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप का
the unprecedented and historic welcome for President Trump yesterday in Motera will always be remembered. Yesterday, it became clear once again that the relations between the United States and India are not just limited to the relations between two governments. They are people-driven and they are people-centric. This relationship is the most important partnership of the 21st century, and therefore today President Trump and I have taken a decision to raise our partnership to the level of a comprehensive global strategic partnership. President Trump's contribution in raising our relations to this level have been invaluable. Friends, during our discussions today, we had a productive exchange on every important aspect of our partnership, whether it is defense and security,
energy strategic partnership,
a strategic energy partnership, technology cooperation, global connectivity, trade relations, or people-to-people ties. The increasing defense and security cooperation between India and the United States is a very important aspect of our strategic partnership. Cooperation in ultra-modern defense equipment and platforms will enhance India's defense capabilities. Our defense manufacturers are becoming a part of each other's supply chains. Indian forces are today doing the maximum training exercise.
आज होमलैंड सिक्योरिटी पर हुए निर्णय से इस सहयोग
Apologies, we're having some problems with the translation there, but Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi talking about the fact that this is the fifth meeting between Donald Trump and himself. He said this relationship is the most important partnership of the 21st century. He said they have now taken the decision to raise the partnership to the next level, and talking about a comprehensive global strategic partnership and increasing defence and security cooperation is extremely important. Let's get the latest with our correspondent Arunadai Mukherjee, who is in Delhi and also watching events there. Arunadai, this visit for both leaders clearly extremely important.
Very clearly, and as you heard the Prime Minister point out that he
level and talking about a comprehensive global strategic partnership and increasing defence and security cooperation is extremely important. Let's get the latest with our correspondent Arunadai Mukherjee, who is in Delhi and also watching events there. Arunadai, this visit for both leaders clearly extremely important.
Very clearly, and as you heard the Prime Minister point out that he thanked President Donald Trump for taking a very crucial part in taking this relationship to the next level, and saying this is a very strategic global partnership. He also pointed out some headway in the energy sector as well as the trade sector, but that is the problem area. So we are still waiting to hear whether there is any kind of considerable headway in that or not.
Okay, I think we can go back to the press conference. No, apologies, we don't have the translation at the moment. Arunadai, to what extent is President Trump's visit marred by the protests, which have now seen 7 deaths in the country?
Very much so. In fact, that area is just northeast to where I am, and it's a small pocket of Delhi in the periphery of the capital city. But the situation still remains very tense and volatile. There are large groups of people who we're getting reports from our teams over there on the ground that they're wielding sticks and setting shops on fire, setting cars and tires on fire. There is some police presence, but not as much as you would expect when the situation seems to be spiraling into this kind of violent protest. These are protests that had started over the last 2 months that have been panning across several states here in India against the citizenship law brought in by the Indian government, which grants amnesty to non-Muslims from the neighboring Muslim countries. So that is why the protests have been taking place. But these protests have now taken a communal color, and they seem to be a larger conflict between the Hindu majority and the Muslim minority.
Okay, Arunadai, for now, thank you. Let's go back to that news conference now.
For higher education, over the last 4 or 5 years, just these 4 sectors contributed $70 billion to the relationship between India and the US. A lot of this is due to the policies and the willingness of President Trump. And I'm fully confident that in the years to come, this will further grow.
Bilateral trade का सवाल है,
हमारे
कॉमर्स मिनिस्टर्स के बीच
our
सकारात्मक वार्ताएं हुई हैं,
have had very positive discussions.
आज सहमत हुए हैं कि हमारे कॉमर्स मिनिस्टर के बीच जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग बनी है उससे हमारी टीम्स लीगल रूप दें। हम एक बड़ी ट्रेड डील के लिए नेगोशिएशन शुरू करने पर भी सहमत हुए हैं। हमें आशा है कि आपसी हित में इसके अच्छे परिणाम निकलेंगे। फ्रेंड्स, वैश्विक स्तर पर भारत और अमेरिका का सहयोग हमारे समान लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों और उद्देश्यों पर आधारित है, खासकर इंडो पैसिफिक और ग्लोबल कॉमन्स में रूल बेस्ड इंटरनेशनल ऑर्डर के लिए यह सहयोग विशेष महत्व रखता है।
Apologies, the sound is pretty difficult to hear, so let's go back to our correspondent while we wait to hear from President Trump. Arunadai Mukherjee, who is in Delhi. And Arunadai, yesterday we were talking about the fact that it was hoped, indeed expected for some time, that there would be a major trade deal announced during this visit, something that had been in the offing for nearly 2 years. But over the past few months, the relationship between the two leaders, while warm in and of itself, and the body language is always great, and they talk very positively about each other, there is this huge tension, which is the very heart of this relationship over trade.
That's right, and statements from the US president have come in to the tune of him calling India a tariff king, and also last year, you remember, that's when it all started, when the US withdrew the preferential trade status to India, through which India had been exporting goods to the US worth over $5 billion. India wants the US to restore that, while the US wants India to further open up its markets to American products worth at least $5.2 billion. There has been severe resistance from several sectors within India who don't want that to happen, because it would then mean that American products are available at affordable prices, becoming detrimental to Indian business. This has been a considerable problem for Prime Minister Modi as well. The trade deficit, another huge challenge, which is tilted heavily in favor of India, and they've not been able to bury these differences over months and months of conversations. So when he did say that there is a massive trade deal in the offing, experts pointed out that they don't really know how that is going to materialize. But today what we might see is some minor changes, some minor tweaks to some of those tariff rates on some products that are imported and exported to try and lead the way, or rather pave the way to something bigger, because anything concrete is unexpected.
Okay, President Trump is now speaking. Let's listen in.
Mr. Modi, this has been a very special visit, unforgettable, extraordinary. What can you say? Very, very wonderful to be with you. Thank you very much. And Melania and I have been awed by the majesty of India. Citizens of your home state showed us upon arrival. It was a profound expression of strength and of real love. Really, it was love. And I think everybody saw that, everybody witnessed that for themselves. The First Lady and I also reflected on the memory of Mahatma Gandhi at his ashram, and this morning in Delhi, we laid a wreath in his honor. We visited one of your nation's most stunning cultural treasures, the world-famous Taj Mahal, and we look forward to continuing our visit tonight during a wonderful state banquet with President Kovind at the Presidential Palace. I know Prime Minister Modi will agree that this has been a very productive visit for both of our countries. Earlier today, we expanded our defense cooperation with agreements for India to purchase more than $3 billion of advanced American military equipment, including Apache and MH-60 Romeo helicopters, the finest in the world. These deals will enhance our joint defense capabilities as our militaries continue to train and operate side by side. In our discussions, Prime Minister Modi and I affirmed our two countries' commitment to protecting our citizens from radical Islamic terrorism. In this effort, the United States is also working productively with Pakistan to confront terrorists who operate on its soil. Together, the Prime Minister and I are revitalizing the Quad initiative with the United States, India, Australia, and Japan. Since I took office, we have held the first Quad ministerial meeting. I guess you would call it a meeting, but it seems like so much more than that, an expanded cooperation on counterterrorism, cybersecurity, and maritime security to ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific. As we deepen our partnership with India, we remember that our two countries have always been united by shared traditions of democracy and constitutions that protect freedom, individual rights, and the rule of law. During our visit, we discussed the importance of a secure 5G wireless network and the need for this emerging technology to be a tool for freedom, progress, prosperity, not to do anything where it could be even conceived as a conduit for suppression and censorship. To guarantee that the infrastructure of the future is built in a safe, transparent, and accountable manner, the United States is working with a range of partners, including Australia and Japan, to create the Blue Dot Network, a major initiative to ensure countries around the world to have access to private sector-led, sustainable, and trustworthy options for high-quality infrastructure development, and that's what's happening. Another major focus of my discussions with Prime Minister Modi is forging bilateral economic relationships that is fair and reciprocal. Our teams have made tremendous progress on a comprehensive trade agreement, and I'm optimistic we can reach a deal that will be of great importance to both countries. Since I took office, U.S. exports to India are up nearly 60%, and exports of high-quality American energy have grown by, thank you very much, 500%. That's great. As India grows, so do its energy needs. Yesterday, ExxonMobil signed a deal to improve India's natural gas distribution network so that the U.S. can export even more LNG to India. We are pleased to be joined by the chairman of ExxonMobil LNG Market Development, Alex Volkov. Thank you, Alex, wherever you may be. Where is Alex? Is here someplace? Alex, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alex. And the CEO of Chart Energy and Chemicals, Jillian Ivanko. Thank you very much. Thank you both. Thank you, Jillian. Thank you very much. That's a big deal, Alex, right? Can you handle it? I think so, right? It's great. To further strengthen our economic ties, the United States is pleased to announce that the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation will be establishing a permanent presence right here. America is especially committed to working with India to improve development and empower women entrepreneurs. That is why my daughter Ivanka attended the Global Entrepreneurship Summit in Hyderabad to highlight women's economic empowerment. Ivanka, please, great job you've done. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have since launched the WGDP initiative, which is now spearheading projects supporting women in the economy from New Delhi to Kolkata. In our meetings with the Prime Minister, we discussed and agreed to create a counter-narcotics working group to confront the growing threat of illicit fentanyl and opioid production. We must rid our societies of these lethal, horrible poisons. We will rid our societies of these bad drugs that are pouring in. Prime Minister Modi, we have made tremendous advances for our people over the past 2 days, and working together, I know that our two nations will continue to achieve new breakthroughs, unlock new potential, and forge even brighter futures in the years ahead. We think we're at a point where our relationship is so special with India. It has never been as good as it is right now, and I think that's because the two leaders of each country, really, we feel very strongly about each other, and we have done something that's very unique, and we've made some wonderful deals for each of our countries. Once again, we want to thank you and the entire nation of India for honoring the United States with its outstanding welcome, and I'm pleased to say that the U.S.-Indian partnership is now truly stronger than ever before. This was a great visit with a tremendous friend and a tremendous leader, Prime Minister Modi. We won't be taking questions now. I'll be having a news conference at 5 o'clock, and we'll take plenty of questions. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. This concludes the press event. Thank you all for joining.
President Trump wrapping up that news conference there, saying he's optimistic that the US can reach a comprehensive trade deal with India. Let's get the latest with our correspondent Aruna Mukherjee, who is in Delhi as well and was listening into that. What stood out for you from what the President and Prime Minister had to say?
I think a lot of it was something that he had highlighted in some way or the other at the stadium yesterday when he had talked about defense cooperation, heightened cooperation in the field of energy as well. I think he just spelt it out a little more in detail. And if I could just go back to some of the notes that I was taking, it was interesting from both the geopolitical side as well as an economic side. I think the big focus was on trade, even though he didn't say anything about by when we can expect this massive trade deal and the contours of it. He did mention that they had made some progress as far as those negotiations were concerned. And to quote him exactly, we've made progress on a comprehensive trade agreement. He also highlighted how ever since he had come to power, U.S. exports to India had risen by 60%. That has been also an aspect that the U.S. has highlighted, where they want India to import a lot more than they export because the trade deficit is tilted in favor of the U.S. He also talked about what is important in the energy sector when ExxonMobil Global has signed a deal to improve India's natural gas production, something that the government has been going heavy towards in its quest for clean energy. So these are some important aspects. But having said that, experts who we've been speaking to over the last 24 hours and also in the run-up to this trip had pointed out exactly this, that you will expect some minor tweaks to a possible larger trade deal. But I think the details are still missing as to how this is likely to be achieved. President Trump seems optimistic. Prime Minister Modi seems optimistic. But having said that, the differences still very much remain. How are they likely to bury those is still a question that needs to be answered. Later on this evening, President Trump, as he pointed out, will be having a press conference. And I think some of those questions will be put to him as to what exactly is this progress that he was talking about.
Arun Uday, let's talk about the violence that's marred this visit. At least 7 people dead in clashes. And also we understand that the violence has spread to other parts of Delhi now and beyond the initial reason for them. Tell us more.
Well, at the moment, it is the outer periphery of Delhi where the violence has been reported, and our team, which is currently on the ground there, will be getting us more information through the course of the day, have pointed out that the situation is still very volatile. There are armed groups who are walking the streets with armed with sticks as well as stones, and have been setting homes as well as shops on fire. They've set some vehicles on fire as well. The death toll currently stands at 10. Over 30 people have been injured. No word really from the authorities as of now. All we heard them say was the situation was under control, but the reports from the ground are pointing otherwise. This is all related to the citizenship law that was brought in by the Indian government in December, which has seen sporadic protests over the last couple of months, 2 months to be specific. These protests have never turned this violent, especially in the capital city. And many observers are saying, while this is civil unrest, it is also getting a religious color as a conflict between the Hindu majority and the Muslim minority.
OK, Arun Uday for now. Thank you.